So today we're taking a trip to the beach to learn about major versus minor. I'm sure this is a concept that you've heard about, but maybe don't really know how it's identified or what it really means. I can say for certain that band and orchestra students have played their fair share of major scales. Now, let's figure out how these minor scales work. All right, now what the heck is a minor scale? So, a lot of times you hear the difference between major and minor described as happy versus sad, and that kind of works, but there's really a lot more to it than that. Having access to lots of different scales and keys gives composers a lot of different tools to vary the types of music that they're writing. If we wrote everything in major keys, we wouldn't have such a broad spectrum of different types of musical styles and ideas to express different types of emotions and concepts. Let's start with an example. Here's a piece you should know real well. Listen to it first. Hot cross buns, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we can make this creepy buns, as we call it in the business, by adding a couple of extra flats to the key signature. And we don't have to change any of the notes that we've written because the key signature will take care of that. So the first example, Hot Cross Buns, is written in B flat major, and the second example, Creepy Buns, is written in B flat minor. The only difference is that we've added 3 flats to the key signature. You can do that with any major key to make it into a minor key of the same name. This is called a parallel minor. A parallel minor scale is a minor scale that has the same starting note as a major scale, but with a different key signature. Like I said, you add 3 flats. For example, if you're playing in the key of C major, which has no flats, and you wanted to build the parallel minor, C minor, you would add 3 flats to the key signature. Let's try it. Here's C major. And then we're going to add the first 3 flats to this key signature, B flat, E flat, and A flat. And it becomes C minor, the parallel minor. Hot Cross Buns has 2 flats, B flat and E flat. But for Creepy Buns, we add 3 more flats. We end up with 5, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, and G flat is the key of B flat minor. Another way to think of this is relative minor. This means that rather than changing the key signature to find a minor scale, we just change the starting note and use the same key signature. Both ways get you a minor scale, and both types of minor scales would sound the same. But it's just a difference in how to accomplish that, how to build that minor scale. Take C major, for example. To find the relative minor, we've got to find the 6th note of the scale. So let's start by counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th note, and 6th note. So this is a C major scale. If we wanted to play the relative minor scale, we'd just take the same pattern of notes, but rather than starting on the 1st note, we'd start on the 6th note. It would look something like this. So we've just rearranged the order of our notes, starting with the 6th note, then the 7th, then back down to the 1st note, which is the same as the last note in the major scale, 2nd note, 3rd note, 4th note, 5th note, and then end on the 6th note this time. So just to recap, to find the parallel minor key, you change your key signature to stay on the same starting note. But to find the relative minor key, you keep the key signature the same and you just start on the 6th note of the major scale. Lastly, how do you identify if something is major or minor? I mean, this could be C major or it could be A minor. The key signature is the same for both. A good way to figure out is to look at the very last note in the piece of music. Where does it end up? Where does the song feel resolved? Well, in this case, it ends on the note A, and it feels complete there. That tells me that we're probably in the key of A minor rather than C major. If instead we ended on C, I'd say, no, we're probably in C major. But listen to the example played and see if you can tell that it's kind of got that minor quality to it as well. This one, on the other hand, does end on the note C, and when it gets there, it kind of feels complete. It feels done. That's a good tell that this one is in C major. Listen to the difference. Can you tell? A minor version one more time to compare. And it's really not uncommon for pieces of music to visit the major and minor versions of the same key. For example, you may have played a piece that has done this before. It could start in C major, but then visit the relative minor at some point to show development in a character or story idea before returning home in C major at the end of the piece when the conflict is resolved. After all, music is all about change and contrast, and it's tools like major versus minor that allows us to develop different ideas in different ways. It makes things interesting.